Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for watching. We are on all of the major podcast platforms in the country. Please make sure that you subscribe to your favorite one, whether it's Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Pandora, whatever. We are on all of them. Then also head over to YouTube and make sure you like our channel over there as well, because you'll want to be able to see just as much as you want to hear the show. So it's at Doug Billings, The Right Side with Doug Billings, on any of your favorite podcasts. So this message, a brief one today, to school administrators, to superintendents across the country, to boards of education across the country. This week, for us here, at least in the Kansas City metropolitan area, we have logged in for the first week with our kids for distance learning. And there could be nothing further, nothing more distant than what the kids are experiencing this week. So superintendents, boards of directors, you're failing the children. In an age group, school-aged kids who are so highly statistically unaffected by COVID-19, it's unbelievable that you've decided to shut down in-person learning in in-person classrooms. Once upon a time, I was a high school teacher. I understand to a degree what you're going through today, but this is ridiculous. Unless children or their teachers are medically fragile, there's virtually no statistical chance that they're going to be killed from COVID-19. It is not the Grim Reaper and the zombie apocalypse that the media has led us to believe that it is. I have a soon-to-be 18-year-old son who's a senior in high school. He happens to have Down syndrome. There is no way, no matter how well-intended you are, to teach children who have special needs to learn over a computer. We have signed and contracted with our school district for an IEP, Individual Education Plan, for our son. There's no way that our contract is being met. There's no way the objectives and the goals within it are being achieved through Zoom learning. I shouldn't even attach the term learning after Zoom, because there is no real learning going on there. Now, my son, like many of the kids, the vast majority of the kids, not only want to be back in the classroom, but they need to be back in the classroom. Unless you're medically fragile, people under the age of 60, which basically includes almost everybody in your schools, are statistically unaffected by COVID-19. For those 60 and under, 60 and younger, you may have some symptoms. And this doesn't mean you won't get it. I'm just saying statistically, you have a 100% chance to recover from this thing, statistically speaking. I'm not belittling or making fun of anyone who's died from it. If you have a family member who has died from it, I am sorry. But where was this outrage? Where was this fake outrage when SARS was breaking upon us? The H1N1 virus, the H1N1 flu. Many, many more people affected by it. Nobody was told to wear a mask. Nobody was told to social distance. We had a tuberculosis outbreak not too long ago. No mask mandates, no social distancing. Every year, 70,000 or so die from the seasonal flu. No masks, no social distancing, no school closures in any of those cases. The only reason you're being told to wear a mask now is because it's a political season. COVID-19, again, I'm going to say it until I either turn blue, and I'm going to say it and shout it from the mountaintops. If you are not medically fragile and you're under the age of 60, you have a statistical 100% chance of surviving. You may have some symptoms. Now let's move down the scale of age groups. If you're 45 years of age or younger, you may have mild symptoms at best. Most of you won't have any. Most of you 45 and under, 45 all the way back to birth, you won't even know you have COVID unless you get tested for it. And that's another thing. We hear in the news, and certain left-leaning politicians will say, another case of COVID. We have more cases of COVID than anybody else in the world, as if that's a bad thing. Having more cases of COVID simply means we've tested more people, and somebody needs to say it out loud to you. Mr. and Mrs. Superintendent of Schools, Mr. and Mrs. Board of Education member. And here it is. I may be the first one that you've ever heard say this, but so be it. COVID-19 is no big deal unless you're medically fragile. And by all means, if you're medically fragile, if you can't help but to eat 17 cheeseburgers in a week, eat a pizza every night before you go to bed, and you're grossly overweight, that's your issue. And if you're in that category, which is one of high morbidity, we're sorry. Mask up, stay at home, sequester yourselves, but don't force your sequestration on us. Don't force your masks or your lockdowns or your shutdowns on us, please. We want to go back to school. We want to go back to work. For those of you that have asthma or any kind of respiratory issue, take care of yourself. If it makes you feel better to mask up, mask up. If it makes you feel safer to stay at home or to keep your children at home, please do so. But don't force it on the rest of us. The vast majority of people in this country and in these school districts want to return to normal, pre-COVID normal. We will not agree to this new normal nonsense. So between 21 and 44 years of age, statistically unaffected by COVID with mild to no symptoms. And again, most of you won't even know that you have it. From birth to age 20, statistically speaking, these people won't have any symptoms at all. They won't know they have it. And yes, they have a statistical 100% chance of survival. In the entire planet, listen to this closely, parents, superintendents, boards of education members. I've spoken with many parents who just swear up and down, I got COVID from my kid. We have to sequester ourselves. On the entire planet, ladies and gentlemen, there are less than 900 cases. On the entire planet, less than 900 cases of a child of school age. That's age birth to age 20. There's less than 900 authentic cases of a child passing it on to anybody else. So with all due respect, you parents who swear up and down that you got it from your kid, that's highly unlikely. And if you did, you'd be swept away and be case studies. Let's get back to school. Let's make it right. Let's follow, for those of us who have individual education plans, IEPs, let's start honoring the contract within those that we all signed off on. Because there's no way in the world that our kids who have an IEP are meeting their goals and objectives with distance learning. I'll say it again because I believe it, and we need to start saying it out loud. Unless you're medically fragile, unless you're laden with multiple pre-existing medical conditions, you have a statistical 100% chance of surviving COVID. And ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 is not a big deal if you're not medically fragile. Many more things on this earth kill us rather than COVID-19. Rotavirus, malaria, tuberculosis, the seasonal flu. And don't believe for a minute that 190 some odd thousand people have died of COVID in the United States. That's blatantly false and an abject lie. There have been, at best, 15,000 people who have died from COVID-19 when it's a primary cause of death. All of the other deaths have died not from COVID, but from multiple pre-existing medical conditions. We each have a pack of blessings on our back, and I know that this is not an easy time, but we cannot subject ourselves to wildly unnecessary panic. More children will be hurt mentally and psychologically because of these shutdowns than the virus will ever touch. We have kids who are desperate to prove that they can earn athletic and academic scholarships. And you, superintendents and boards of education, who are refusing to let them go participate in sports and in school, are crushing their dreams, their hopes, and whatever vision of future success they have. That flies in the face of your sacred duty and your calling as a teacher. If you're under 60, if you're healthy, it's not a big deal So stop with the fake fear and the wildly unnecessary panic. Kristen Schultz, Shannon Wicklife, they belong to the Olathe, Kansas Board of Education. They voted to suspend and end school athletics. They're not in favor of in-person learning. And we'll remember that on Election Day. We simply must put the children first, and you're not putting them first when you shut down education and sports. Focus on the blessings. We all have them, a big old pack of them on our backs. Each challenge, each adversity, and this may well be one of them that we face, is only a blessing waiting to be born. May God bless you all. God bless our kids. And may God bless the United States of America. Thanks for watching The Right Side with Doug Billings. Take care of each other out there, and let's get these kids back to school and back on the field. Cheers.